everyone, and welcome. Ready or not, here we go. Purdue basketball season officially off and running for the 2023-24 season. And I'm so happy you could join us tonight here for the Matt Painter Radio Show. I am your host, Rob Blackman, and it is a true pleasure to be with you here tonight as we open up what I guess is unofficially our start for Purdue basketball. Our Boilermakers have already played a game, an exhibition game. That was this past Saturday in Fayetteville, Arkansas, against the Arkansas Razorbacks. We're going to talk with Coach Matt Painter about that in just a moment. Also, we'll look ahead to the Wednesday night exhibition game against Grace College, which will be played at Mackey Arena. And then, of course, we will set our sights on the season opener, which is a week from tonight, next Monday night, Purdue, 6:30, Mackey Arena at home against Samford, for what is the official lid lifter for the 2023-2024 Purdue basketball season. Big thanks to GEMCO Constructors. They are our title sponsor again for the Matt Painter Show this season. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. And we say to you, please make a quick note on your calendar, your listening calendar, because it will be a busy week here on the Purdue Radio Network this week. Of course, tonight, the Matt Painter Show, and then Wednesday night, as I mentioned, the exhibition game against Grace College. 6 o'clock broadcast, 7 o'clock tip. And then with Purdue basketball playing Wednesday night, we're going to move the Ryan Walters show to Thursday night this week, right here at Walk-Ons. But Ryan's show to talk Purdue football is going to be Thursday night at 6. So busy week here on the Purdue Radio Network, busy week here at Walk-Ons. Thank you again to Walk-Ons for being our host for this Matt Painter Show again this season. With all of that said, let us take our first break of the night. And when we come back, Matt Painter will join me to talk Boilermaker basketball. It's the Matt Painter Show brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Illinois recovered well. There's a double again. Newman down the lane line for Mason Gillis on the opening tip. Drop coverage, shooting those little 15-footers. He was just phenomenal. There's the high-low, and Edey spins it in, and the foul. Lows are one of the first things you got to talk about. Got to be better ball pressure from Matthew Meyer, and that's too easy as Hawkins is buried. That is going to be 2 points and a foul for the entire game if that's the case. Boston, Oklahoma State, Illinois. Yes. Both these coaches know exactly what they're looking for in players when they're recruiting. 2 for Smith. I don't want to let that go by, though. That's such a great point for Illinois defensively, although Coffin-Wren can do this a little bit. Trey Coffin-Wren, his 5th 3 of the year. 5 to shoot for Harris. No dribble. 3 to shoot. Danger's got to turn the corner. He did. And Edey swatted it as a boomerang back at him. And one of the things with young players is they lack shot clock awareness at times. And there, Harris needed to go make something happen. Throw to Newman. Smith. In this first half. You see Braden Smith free himself up to knock down one that gets Mackey on his feet. While you're looking for it, there it is. Edey too short. Oh, Mason Gillis tried it away. Smith hits the post. Edey against Danger for 2. But how good was that sequence? Hawkins another shot fake, getting Edey out of the way. Morton the interception. Ethan Morton to the rack. It in. Kind of been the story of the game for Purdue. Unexpected turnover. Illinois recovered well. There's a double again. Newman.
It is the Matt Painter Show. Tonight we are live at Walk-Ons. We'll be here all season long. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. And thank you to Walk-Ons, who once again will serve as our host of the Matt Painter Show all season long. Coach Painter is alongside. We thank you for joining us tonight, no matter how you may have found us, whether the old-fashioned way on the radio, maybe on the Varsity Network app, or maybe you're watching us on Twitter or YouTube, Facebook maybe as well. However you found us, we thank you for going through the trouble to do just that. Coach Painter, welcome. Here we go, new season. So often we have this first coaches show of the year, and we don't yet have a game to talk about. We only talk about practice. Yeah. We have the unique opportunity this year to talk about a game you actually played on Saturday, obviously, against Arkansas. Talk to me about what you saw, what you liked, and what you maybe didn't like.
It was a really good environment. I thought it was such a good idea, obviously, because it's, from a purpose standpoint, all the money goes to the United Way of Arkansas, and obviously just all the families and the communities that it touched, and just a special deal. And then they didn't have a football game this weekend, and so they have a sellout, and the crowd. It was really good for our guys just to experience that and be able to play in that kind of environment this early. And you're getting thrown into the frying pan pretty early, and a lot of coaches like to ease their way into it. But I thought it was good. We didn't do much preparation for them. Obviously, they have a new team. We obviously know how they play. They're going to do a lot of ball screen, high ball screen, and just really attack off the dribble. So it was more of just, getting guys, accustomed and ready to it. They pressure so much, and they're so athletic, like trying to get a lot of different lineups in there just wasn't feasible. And so, like, that was the one part that I would have liked to play some guys more minutes and give them more of an opportunity, but it was just one of those games where it just wasn't doable to do that. So hopefully that could be the case on Wednesday. If not, then obviously you do what you have to do. But it was just excited to have that experience, and I think it'll be good for our guys. We have to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. We had too many unforced errors, and I think if you watch any of those exhibition games, you watch the Michigan State game, you saw all the turnovers that you have, and you're going to have that more in the season. As a coach, like, you don't want to ever give into that, like saying, hey, it's okay because it's early in the season. It's not okay. Like, you got to take care of the basketball, and that's something that we've been good at times we've been great at. But it's really hurt us in the last 2 years in the NCAA tournament. So it obviously raises a flag for us that we have to give ourselves a chance. We have a very good offensive team. We have a very good offensive rebounding team. So if you're getting shots at the basket, even if you're not making it, sometimes for us it can generate points. It can get, obviously, the other team in foul trouble, and you can get to the line more. But it's something for us that we have to do a better job of just making easier plays.
I wasn't there. Obviously, I was with football in Nebraska on Saturday, so I have only the box score. I didn't see it. But I know in the past, and when we've played these secret scrimmages, sometimes the rules have been flexed a little bit to make it easier as far as, maybe the other team's big guy was allowed 7 or 8 fouls or what have you. Was that game played this way, or was it played like a true game?
Yeah, we could have done that, but we didn't, and that kept Zach out of the game. I think Zach played 25 minutes, if I had to guess. He played 24 minutes, so it was good that we were able to play and and do some good things while he was in. Then obviously when he wasn't in the game, because he missed 21 minutes, so he probably played roughly around 60% of the time. And but yeah, some people do that. We've done that before. Like, we got beat by Providence one year, and their big man had 10 fouls.
Right.
And people
I remember.
are like, yeah, you're gonna have a little bit of an adjustment, right? But that's what we set up, and that's what we always did in the close scrimmages, and we didn't do it here. So it was, it's part of it, and it's just something that you want to, be able to kind of work through, while you're playing and everything. And the fact that he fouls out of the game, and he didn't foul out of one game last year, kind of shows you what we're up against.
I rarely remember him even getting 4 fouls in a game last year, quite frankly. You mentioned the turnovers, 20 of them in the game. Shooting percentages weren't great. I think you would agree. 38% as a team, 29 from 3, 68 from the free throw line. My gut feeling tells me this is a better shooting team than what we saw Saturday.
Yeah, we took too many contested threes, in the first half. Guys just kind of like, locking and loading and taking some shots where wasn't a lot of them, but just enough to where, like, now when we moved the ball in the second half, we did some better things. We got better looks, we got better shots, and we made more. And I think that's just going to be so important, for us, just to have good ball movement, have the good action, just keep, going to the next kind of action when things aren't there. We got to do a better job of setting Zach up. Anytime you have new players, they're not very good at feeding the post. And so you go through this just because they don't. A lot of people don't play with post players. So, like, when you bring in a freshman or you bring in a 5th year or you have somebody who's a red shirt, then all of a sudden, like, they get out there and it's like, in scrimmages and practice, like, hey, man, you're missing him all the time. Like, he's open. Like, you know, you're a National Player of the Year. You should get the basketball when you're open. So, like, that piece is going to be really important for us. Like, who can defend, like, who can compete, who can take care of the basketball, who can consistently shoot and have that confidence, but also who can get, you know, the ball inside. Because the more they're worried about him, the more you're going to be open. And that's just the way it works. And that's kind of how the season unfolded last year for us. And, you know, we missed some wide open shots at the, you know, the last 2-3 weeks of the season that we were making earlier in the season. And that's what we got to be able to do, is just build and grow. And no one's trying to miss them. But you've got to have that confidence. And we have a deep team. Yeah. And so, like, you know, trying to play that many guys is not close to impossible. It's impossible. But it's also, you have a lot of guys there that, you know, can they step up and can they be that can help us in a couple of those areas? Well, you got to get your feet wet and you got to know what you're doing. And so that's what is important for a lot of new guys, just learning the ropes and learning what's going on.
Well, that helps explain a few things for me, because the one thing that jumped off the stat sheet, and again, I didn't see the game, but the fact that Zach only had 8 shot attempts. I thought, when you're the reigning National Player of the Year, you probably need to get more field goal attempts than 8. So that kind of helps explain it to me there. So thank you for that. More with Coach Painter in a moment. This show brought to you, as always, by GEMCO. It's coming up a little bit more with the coach on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
18-13. They beat Penn State double digits both times. That's Edie.
Not much you can do, really. And really no really clean looks from deep. They've done a nice job.
Jenkins, again, he's had a hot hand in Chicago. David Jenkins has performed in this tournament.
You're going to get free when you got the big guy being doubled, or at least
play the perimeter game here. Checking to see if Edie ever gets open. There they get into it.
Wow, this kid. 7 assists in the game against the Palestra. This kid's got a feel. Not afraid of all the luggage around that rim. Big fella sending it in. What a presence and what a year. Good ball movement here.
Gillis cradles it, puts it up. Oh my goodness. How did that go?
Not a ball fake on that pass.
3 to shoot. Lawyer sees it, launches it. Oh!
Well, he's been struggling. He deserves that.
Fletcher Lawyer been struggling a bit from downtown. Short clock opportunity, knocks it in. Woo!
Deep position like he did early in his game.
And they're circling him, too, with more than one on occasion. Occasionally 3. There's 3.
Got another one to go. Gillis.
He's been practicing that all during halftime. That's really pretty, but how about this one? Get them organized. And that's that rotation they get you in. You double.
They get it to him.
Good job. I forced him to kick it. Look at this kid, though.
Oh, Will, that time. Triple team.
And how about that? The footwork, though. Here's a little ball fake and then that little step through. Boy, you can see he's worked at that. A slithery move. Lacking deception, but beautiful finish.
And then 18-13. They beat.
To thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Purdue Global, Purdue Federal Credit Union, also Molson Coors and the Rohrman Automotive Group, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. We thank them for their sponsorships. Rob Blackman here with Purdue head coach Matt Painter. This is our first Matt Painter show of the season. One quick programming note. Our next show is actually going to be next Tuesday night here at Walk-Ons, because Purdue men's basketball actually has a game next Monday. 1 week from tonight, we'll tip the season off at 6:30 against Samford at Mackey Arena. Okay, Coach Painter, so we talked a little bit about that game against Arkansas. I put the finishing touches on it. I have read an awful lot on social media from college basketball fans who absolutely love this new concept, if you will, of playing these exhibition games for charity, high-level competition, fans in the stands. You can watch it on television or see it streamed. From a coaching standpoint, would you much rather do this than the secret scrimmages of old?
Without question. Because the secret scrimmages, unless it was the COVID year, is not real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
The secret scrimmages got us ready for the COVID year because there's no one in the stands. So,
Right.
yeah, it's, you know, you're going into a hornet's nest. Like you're going in, like if somebody had to think about if we had a charity event here last year and some team from the West Coast who's never played, or some team from the Southeast that's never came to Mackey Arena and played, and they come through here and play.
Yeah.
You know, like they're going to walk away from this, be like, man, it was a great, you know, it was a great cause, but it was also like our team's better and our record 0-0. It doesn't affect you.
Right.
And so, like, for us, like, we do very little preparation besides just practicing and getting ready. And, like, we just want to see, like, you know, where our guys are. Like, who has grown as a player, who has the discipline to understand situations and scenarios. And like, now we can fix it. Now, like right now when you watch that scrimmage, like, you have real problems. Like, you find out what your problems are. Now you can say, okay, let's fix it, and you don't have to take a loss for it. Because everybody has problems. The best team in the country has problems. And the best team in the country got beat by Illinois.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. And now Kansas is going back home, and they're going to practice, and they're going to work on the things that they struggled at.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, Michigan State lost at home. And, like, sure, nobody wants to lose. Like, that's not the case. But they, you know, both of those guys are playing really good teams. But now, like, they're on edge. And so, like, it's what happens in the summer. It's what happens in the fall. There's no adversity. And so you don't find out about anybody. You're like, we had a great summer. We really worked hard, really did things. Like, you didn't play anybody. Like, sure, you lifted weights and you ran and you worked on your game and you shot. And, like, that's great. You're a basketball player. You should. But collectively as a team, you know, how well are you together? Like, how well are you, like, playing together? Like, everybody makes these improvements. But if you can't do it within a team concept, then who cares? It's a team game. So now who's going to play well? Who's going to do things within that structure? And you find out about a lot of people. Now, like, if you get to play 30 minutes, you get to work through things. You just do. And, like, so if you've put yourself in that position, like, good for you. But if you got to play 10 to 15 minutes and you've never played 10 to 15 minutes, a lot of people will try to do more in that time because they think that's going to get them to where they play more minutes. In actuality, it normally goes the other way, because now you're forcing things or you're playing away from your strengths. And so like this is these games are great. The only thing that I don't like about that for me, and I just don't like this piece about it being a head coach, because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for Purdue over individuals. I want to see it work for everybody. I want to see everybody being able to play. I want to see young guys get out there and play 20 minutes and work through some and play through your mistakes. But if you haven't got yourself in that position, it's not going to happen. It happens in football all the time. Like, you're like, hey, man, you got to get into that first unit or that second unit, because now you're getting the reps in practice. If you're not getting the reps in practice, well, in basketball it's different. You always get reps in practice, no matter where you are. There's just not that many people, you know, and so, like, you get out there in practice and you get better. So you get a lot of opportunities in practice to show yourself. But are you going to play 8 people? Are you going to play 9 people? Are you going to play 10 people? Like, it gets real sticky. It's like right away, like, who in the country wouldn't want to have Zach Edey, right? Everybody would want Zach Edey. Well, if you play with him, you got to coexist and what's your value with him. But he zaps 30 minutes right away.
Yeah,
Braden Smith zaps 30 minutes right away.
Yeah.
So if you're in that mix with him, you're like, I'm doing okay. Like, oh, that's cool that you think you're doing okay, but there's 30 minutes right there. There's 10 minutes left in that slot, and that's it.
Right.
That's it. And so, like, that's really hard, because I feel really comfortable starting and playing Caleb first, Mason Gillis, Trey Kaufman ran at the 4. Any of those 3. That's, you know, so for us, we're like, that's a heck of a problem. That's a really good problem. But I also feel bad, and I look up, and Caleb first plays 13 minutes. Like, last year we'd play games, and Trey Kaufman would play 8 minutes. I'd be like, man, these guys are really good players, but what are you going to do? You know, Zach Edey's swinging on the rim over there. I ain't taking him out. Like, you know, those guys can't guard him. He's got everybody in foul trouble. We're shooting more free throws than everybody. We're shooting 5 feet from the rim. They're triple teaming him, and we're shooting wide open threes. Like, you know, he's just a really, really tough cover. But, you know, you feel for those guys. And so when I always publicly talk about it's going to take our whole team, and everybody's got to sacrifice for us to win, those are the sacrifices. And that's not a lot of fun, because even though our team's winning, like, you're capable of playing 30 minutes, but it's just not there every single night for every single guy.
More with Coach Painter when we come back. It's the Matt Painter Show. It's brought to you by GEMCO. It's on the Purdue Global Network. And this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed, right? Because he had his hands up.
Edey left alone. Oh, come on!
Lawyer with the dump down. Edey with the seal. Oh!
Get you some, big fella.
All right, Slam, what are you putting on this out of 10?
I get out of 12. 12 out of 10.
Okay.
The unheralded freshman in Westfield High School, Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana, throws it up for Edey. That is the fullest of extensions.
Got the rebound, and as he's dribbling up the court, he is surveying. He had his eyes up. He knew exactly where he was going to go. Why? He got the floor space. You had shooters around the perimeter and open rim.
Cameron Hanna back in for Penn State. To the Pedraza serve, big swing, Chicoine. Grimes setting it up, Markley block back, Colvin, and Purdue takes back-to-back sets. Hudson, Merzick with a good D. Hudson got it blocked. Edey, the dig for Grimes, Merzick, Pedraza! Hudson! And Purdue has won at Rec Hall for just the 5th time in this series history.
And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
Painter Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. We'll be here all season long. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Coach Painter joining us here. We'll be here all season long, like I said, talking Boilermaker hoops, although a quick note on next week's schedule. A game next Monday night, and a coach's show will be Tuesday night. That's next week. 6:30 tip-off for a game. Coach's show at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. If it's okay with you, Coach Painter, I would like to talk about some of the new faces that had a chance to get their feet wet for the first time in a Boilermaker uniform on Saturday. I want to start with the redshirt freshman Camden Heide. Maybe what he, not only necessarily maybe how he played Saturday, but what you think he'll bring to the table this year.
Yeah, well, obviously he has athleticism and he can really shoot the basketball. And in one of our scrimmages, he was 4 for 4 from 3. Got a couple good looks. It didn't knock him down. He made a nice drive and and dunked the basketball in the game against Arkansas. Played 13 minutes. I thought he was solid. What it gets difficult when we deal with people that pressure us, I like having Braden and Lance in there together. And that's what we didn't have like last year, have those 2 point guards. And that really helps us handle that pressure and have another guard in there. So it makes it difficult when you want that against pressure because all those guys end up, Miles Colvin, Brian Waddell, and Cam Heide, end up like being that 3 slot. Well, when we start, Fletch is at the 3. Fletch played really well in the second half, made some really nice plays for us. So it really limits that because you need more ball handling type guards in those minutes. But if you look at their minutes total, there's 21 minutes there. Even though I don't think any of them played in the overtime. I don't think a couple of them played in the second half. And that was hard. Obviously Miles and Brian only played 4 minutes, but it really puts a crunch right there. We're really kind of looking for some separation there. And I would say Cam obviously played a little bit more. He's played a little bit better than the other 2 guys. But it's nothing where it's a huge separation for us. It's not past the guys that started. there hasn't been huge separation right there. And so trying to establish our rotation and our bench, it's still really, there's nothing concrete there at all. And so like for those guys, that's the reason I said that. Like you want that opportunity for Brian, you want that opportunity for Cam, you want that opportunity for Miles, but you don't have the minutes and games to be able to do that. But in practice, they've all done good things. But there hasn't been any separation. So you're like sitting back as a coach, and I always say that, like, just it organically takes care of itself. And so far it organically hasn't taken care of itself. So it's like I like them all. I like all three of them in what they bring to the table. You know, Brian brings length, been with us for 3 years, you know, can make a shot, can drive the basketball, can guard. You know, Miles is learning. Miles in his first year, that's a little bit harder, and I think all those guys would agree, like where Cam was last year or where Brian was, 2 years ago before he got hurt. You know, that's the hardest piece, because until you can really know what you're doing, now you just can't unleash and play. You know, because you feel like you got smoke coming out of your ears, and all those guys have gone through that. All freshmen in college basketball, you go through that until you can really kind of grasp what's going on. You just need to keep playing and keep plugging, and all those guys have worked on it, and all those guys come up and watch extra film and look at it. So, we're going to need everybody. But like when our rotation kind of gets, established, I don't have an answer to that.
You know, it's interesting. The three guys you're talking about there, Waddell and Cam and Miles. If you just look at the hard numbers across the board from an athleticism standpoint, there are three most athletic guys. They have the three highest vertical jumps on the team. Those three guys right there. So athleticism certainly isn't a concern for any of the three.
Right.
So what ultimately will help one of the three or two of the three separate themselves? Because athletically, they got that part down, it sounds like.
Yeah, knowing what you're doing, and then just that confidence, and who can be best really in that role. Or maybe somebody can bust through and end up starting for us. You never know, especially with young guys. Like, you never know once they can get themselves in there and create that opportunity for themselves, now they can take off, because they've all done some really good things, but trying to get it to where it's consistent across the board, and it's all relative. That's what a lot of people say, because I just said a lot of positive things. It's all relative. Like, it has to make more sense for us to play you with the players that we have than the other guy. And then sometimes when it's close, you just got to be able to make that decision. But I know this, if you play them all three spot minutes, you won't get much value from them, because now you got one guy playing 4 minutes, one guy playing 6 minutes, one guy playing 8 minutes, and it doesn't help. Now you get like one of those three playing 20 minutes, or you get like, maybe a couple of them playing 12 if you can get to that point. Now they add a little bit more of a feel. I used to always joke about, Coach Katie had a line, and he would say, hey, why don't you get you got to get a lather before you shoot one up there. And I think he used to say, cork one up there. He goes, before you cork one up there, he goes, you might want to get a lather, get up and down the court. And so I, in my brilliant wit, I said, Coach, by the time I get a lather, you take me out. I said, I want to cork one up there and everything. And so he didn't think that was too funny.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was great.
I think
especially
it's funny.
35 years later, I think it's really good.
More with Coach Painter in a moment. We're at the Matt Painter. We are at Walk-Ons, I should say, with the Matt Painter Show, brought to you by GEMCO. More in a moment. We're on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Illinois recovered well. There's a double again. Newman down the lane line for Mason Gillis on the opening tip. Drop coverage, shooting those little 15-footers. He was just phenomenal. There's the high-low, and Edey spins it in, and the foul. Lows are one of the first things you got to talk about. Got to be better ball pressure from Matthew Meyer, and that's too easy as Hawkins is buried. That is going to be 2 points and a foul for the entire game if that's the case. Boston, Oklahoma State, Illinois. Yes. Both these coaches know exactly what they're looking for in players when they're recruiting. 2 for Smith. I don't want to let that go by, though. That's such a great point for Illinois defensively, although Kaufman-Renn can do this a little bit. Trey Kaufman-Renn, his 5th 3 of the year. 5 to shoot for Harris. No dribble. 3 to shoot. Danger's got to turn the corner. He did that. And Edey swatted it as a boomerang back at him. And one of the things with young players is they lack shot clock awareness at times. And there, Harris needed to go make something happen. Throw to Newman. Smith In this first half, you see Braden Smith free himself up to knock down one that gets Mackey on his feet. Lawyer looking for it. There it is. Edie too short. Oh, Mason Gillis tried it away. Smith hits the post. Edie against Danger for two. Well, how good was that sequence? Hawkins another shot fake. Getting Edie out of the way. Morton the interception. Ethan Morton to the rack. And he scooped it in. Kind of been the story of the game for Purdue. Unexpected turnover. Illinois recovered well. There's a
Matt Painter Show this year brought to you by a plethora of sponsors, but they include Purdue Global, Purdue basketball season presented by Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Earn a degree you're proud of and employers respect. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Thanks for those checking in tonight from all around the globe, including Cincinnati, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Winfield, Indiana. We know some of you have found us via Facebook or maybe YouTube or even on Twitter. We thank you for finding your way to the Coach Painter Show here tonight. Coach Painter did want to ask about some changes on the coaching staff this year, including P.J. Thompson moving into a position where he gets a little bit more involved in helping call the offense this year. Would you mind talking about his quick rise and elevation through the coaching ranks here?
Yeah, PJ's been great. Like, obviously, he was our GA, then he was on support staff, but just very in tune with what we do from a program standpoint. Obviously, he was a good player. You know, when he played, we won a lot of games when he played, and he's, you know, helped us since he's been on staff and, you know, just done a great job. You know, he's going to run our offense, and I think it's something when you've ran something, you see it a lot in football, when you see those young offensive coordinators in football that were former quarterbacks or back up in the NFL.
Right.
You know, they've made the reads, right? They've been there. They understand the details of everything, and you know, especially when you play the position that PJ played, kind of similar to a catcher in baseball. You know, you see a lot of those former catchers end up being managers because they have to call games and they're a part of it. And, you know, being a point guard in basketball and being in just from a basketball family. Obviously, Isaiah played here, and his dad played at Indiana State and Ball State, and his grandfather's always been heavily involved in youth basketball. And so, like, you know, he's just been around it. You know, he's a very, very knowledgeable person for someone who's only 25, 26, you know, years old. So, you know, looking forward to it. I know our players got a lot of respect for him, and I think we're going to have a great year with him helping our offense. And then, you know, Sasha Stefanovic is also helping out our offense. And once again, you know, Sasha was one of those guys that, you know, he could have coached our team his senior year, like really just knew all the ins and outs of our offense. And, you know, just a very intelligent guy. Both of them are intelligent. Not just basketball guys, but just overall, and they're very grounded as people. And so it's great for our guys because, like, you know, when you get into my position, like, you don't feel like you're old. But, man, when you're 18 years old, you look at somebody 53, like, they're really old. Like, I remember looking at Bruce Weber when he recruited me, and I was like, you know, I thought he was old. And I was 18, and he was 33 years old. And I just was like, man, and Coach Weber, like, man, he's an old dude. Like, no, but he's an old dude now. He wasn't then. But, like, that's just how you look when you're young. So, like, when you have people on your staff, and obviously we have Jared Wolbrin and we have Tommy Luce who played for us, and both of those guys are GAs. When you have those four guys there that, you know, are 26 years, you know, to 20, I think Tommy's probably a little bit, he's probably around there. Jared's probably 24. I'd say Sasha is 24. So they're all right in there in their mid-20s. You know, now you got some guys on staff that have played here that the players can relate to. Then the old guys like the other coaches.
Yeah.
So we got a balance. Yeah. We got a good balance.
You do have a good balance. You know, the other thing and I don't know if this makes a difference, but I found it so interesting. Both PJ and Sasha, one other thing they share is they were not heavily recruited. I think as far as high majors, Purdue might have been the only offers they had from a high major standpoint. So they kind of understand that grind and being maybe a little underappreciated coming out of high school.
And it was funny. I used those guys as examples. We've had a handful of guys that are that way. I mean, probably more than that. And I've always said they have been great in their roles. You know, Ryan Klein, PJ, Sasha, they've been great in their roles. And, just a high IQ, high skill, high substance. Education's important. When you have that combination and you can make shots, like it's going to work for you. Like you can be a good piece of the puzzle. You know, when you have everybody that wants the same thing, I think that's hard, and I think you see that a lot in the transfer world. When you see guys that transfer, a lot of them are just searching a role. Like, you don't see a lot of people that transfer, they pop up and go, I'm leaving here because I want to win. I think you see that a little bit. I don't think you see that a lot. Like, hey, my main focus is when I transfer is I want to go somewhere and win a championship. I don't think you hear that a lot. But when you get here and you're appreciative because no other high major coach offered it. I remember making a statement to some of the guys I coached in my first couple years at Purdue, and I'd say, like, a couple of you guys only, didn't have any high major offers. I said, you want to make Gene Cady look like a genius, or you want to make those other 11 coaches, I think it was 12 teams at the time, you want to make those other 11 guys look like, because 11 people thought you couldn't play in this league, and one person did. So who do we want to prove right? So, like, when you're trying to really get to them and explain to them, here's what we need you to do for this team, and you get a little bit of pushback. Now, okay, let's draw a hard line here. And so, like, let's remember when you're getting recruited, and now, like, you got this opportunity, but now, like, you got to play a role. We got Biggie Swanigan. We got Vince Edwards. Like, we got Isaac Haas. Like, now you got to fit in here and play this role, and now this team is really going to take off. And that was like PJ, and we always joke because – he's older and maybe he doesn't take it as a joke, but I never ran plays for PJ, period.
Yeah.
Period. And if we did it all over again, I wouldn't run a play for him. And I love him to death, and he's a good player. He scored 800 points. Yeah. He won a lot of games. But Dakota Mathias, Vince Edwards, Caleb Swanigan, A.J. Hammonds, Isaac Haas, like, you're just not going to get any rep right there. Sorry. Just the way it is. But there was a lot of people that pushed back on that, and he didn't. He just accepted his role, and he sacrificed for us, and he helped us win. Then those dudes like that, they always become really good coaches, always, because they had that side. When you coach, man, you got to sacrifice, and you got to be a good communicator, and you got to understand that everybody wants that, and there's no problem with that. But that can't supersede Purdue winning a championship. That can't supersede Purdue trying to advance in the NCAA tournament, because that's what's important when it comes to basketball.
This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. More in a moment. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
18-13. They beat Penn State. Double digits both times. That's Edey.
Not much you can do, really. And really no really clean looks from deep. They've done a nice job.
Jenkins, again, he's had a hot hand in Chicago. David Jenkins has performed in this tournament.
You're going to get free when you got the big guy being doubled, or at least
play the perimeter game here. Checking to see if Edey ever gets open. There they get it to him. Good night.
Yes. Wow, this kid, Smith, 7 assists in the game against the Palestra. This kid's got a feel. Not afraid of all the luggage around that rim. Big fella sending it in. What a presence and what a year. Good ball movement here.
Gillis cradles it, puts it up. Oh, my goodness. How did that go?
Got a ball fake on that pass.
3 to shoot. Lawyer sees it, launches it. Oh, there you go.
Well, he's been struggling. He deserves that.
Fletcher Lawyer been struggling a bit from downtown. Short clock opportunity, knocks it in. Woo!
Deep position like he did early in his game.
And they're circling him, too, with more than one on occasion. Occasionally 3. There's 3.
Got another one to go. Gillis.
He's been practicing that all during halftime. Really pretty, but how about this one? Get them organized. And that's that rotation they get you in. You double.
They get it to him.
Good job. I forced him to kick it. Look at this kid, though.
Oh, Will, that time. Triple team.
And how about that? The footwork, though. Here's a little ball fake and then that little step through. Boy, you can see he's worked at that. A slithery move. Lacking deception, but beautiful finish.
And then.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. We'll be here all season long. Time now for the Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how a former Purdue student athlete is doing in their professional sports career. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Tip of the cap tonight goes to Raheem Mostert. Can you believe Raheem's in his 9th season in the NFL? That seems hard to believe, but 9 seasons. And unlike most running backs, he seems to be getting better the longer he stays in the league. Raheem right now is leading the Miami Dolphins in rushing and touchdowns scored. 520 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. Those are both team highs for a team in Miami that's leading the AFC East. And a big part of that reason for that is because they beat the Patriots yesterday 31-17. So congratulations to Raheem Mostert. What a career he's having now in year 9 in the National Football League. Coach Painter, Big Ten-wise, Purdue's ranked 3rd in the preseason AP poll. Michigan State is 4th. Illinois is 25th. The one team I would say, why aren't they in there, is Maryland. Am I crazy? Bringing back Julian Reese, Jameer Young, Dante Scott. I mean, Big Ten's going to be good, but that's the one omission I found just a little interesting.
Yeah, first of all, you're crazy, and it's got nothing to do with your statement.
You. Yes, thank you.
No doubt about that. No, Jameer Young's a real tough cover. Dante Scott, they added some really good pieces too. Like he's a good coach. Like they're going to be, they're going to be really good. The other couple teams I want to talk about is like a lot of times, and I talked about the transfers and about guys moving and leaving, and Wisconsin and Ohio State didn't have great years last year. Obviously, you saw at the end of the year they both were, obviously getting better and making progress. We were very fortunate to beat Wisconsin at the end of the year, very close game. Yeah. But all those guys stayed. And so not all, but like most of those guys in their core stayed on both of those teams. And I think they're both, and they both added, some pieces too. I think both of those teams are going to be better. I think Illinois is going to be really good. You just saw they beat Kansas. Michigan State was going to be really good. I don't care what happened, and they got beat by Tennessee. And Tennessee's a good team, very good team. So like, I think our league's going to be really, really good. And then obviously the next year adding 4 more teams. So it's going to be a dogfight. You look at the schedule, and especially look at our non-conference schedule. You look at our conference. Like you're just like, man, it's just game after game after game where it's going to be, it's just going to be a dogfight. So, but that's what you want. Like, you want that competition, and you want to be able to just go lay it on the line every single night.
The other thing I should have added about Maryland, the only team in our league last year that did not lose a home game. They are tough to beat at their place. So that's why I think they might be a little underappreciated, at least to start this season. We'll talk more with Coach Painter on the other side of this break. This is the Matt Painter Show, brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it. This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed, right? Because he had his hands up. Edey left alone. Oh, come on!
Lawyer with the dump down. Edey with the seal. Oh!
Get you some, big fella.
All right, Slam, what are you putting on this out of 10?
I get out of 12. 12 out of 10.
Okay. The unheralded freshman in Westfield High School, Mr. Basketball of the state of Indiana, throws it up for Edey. That is the fullest of extensions.
Got the rebound, and as he's dribbling up the court, he is surveying. He had his eyes up. He knew exactly where he was going to go. Why? He got the floor space. You had shooters around the perimeter and open rim.
Cameron Hanna back in for Penn State. To the Pedraza serve, big swing, Chicoine. Grimes setting it up, Markley blocked back, Colvin, and Purdue takes back-to-back sets. Hudson, Merzick with a good dig. Hudson got it blocked. Edey, good dig for Grimes. Merzick, Pedraza. Hudson and Purdue has won at Rec Hall for just the 5th time in this series history.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show. Proud partner of Purdue Athletics as well. GEMCO Constructors says Boiler up. Rob Blackman here with head coach Matt Painter. Don't forget Wednesday night, Boilermaker basketball right here on the radio airwaves. Exhibition game against Grace College. For our fans that'll be listening, here's just a little quick note on Grace College. They are 2-0. They've already played 2 games this year. They've beaten Kentucky Christian and Madonna. They play out of the NAIA, and our very, very good NAIA team actually went to the Elite 8 last year, 31-4 last season, won 31 games. That's pretty impressive. Went to the Elite 8. And they have a very, very good player in Elijah Malone, first-team All-American last year, who is 6'10". Don't see a lot of guys 6'10" in the NAIA, especially that are skilled. But he is averaging 15.5 points a game this year for them. So he'll be a guy to watch. Malone, their 6'10" player on Wednesday night at Mackey Arena. With that, Coach, regardless of whom the opponent is, what are you looking for from our team on Wednesday night?
Just progress. The quality of play. Like you want to go from practice to practice, game to game, and make strides. You want to fix the things that you struggle at. You're going to get consistency in those areas. And so I think for us right away is taking care of the basketball and doing a better job there, not trying to hit home runs all the time. I think that a lot of times guys, like they get predetermined thoughts. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z instead of just playing instinctually and taking what the defense gives you. Then I think from a defensive standpoint, finding a group of guys that will follow our rules and stick to our rules, and because when you watch basketball, you understand that your shots don't always go in. Can you beat a really good team when you're not shooting the ball well? Well, it starts with taking care of the basketball, and then it also starts with your transition defense, and then your half-court defense, and your ability to rebound the basketball. So all those pillars of the game really come into play when you struggle to shoot the basketball. So obviously you want to make shots. You want to do all those things well and make shots. And that's where you see teams go on great runs or teams win a lot of games, is they're able to do all those things and have more consistency. So we're all fighting for the same thing. As coaches, we can go about it differently, but we're all fighting for that same consistency in growth and improvement.
Speaking of coaches, Grace College has a pretty good one in Scott Moore, National Coach of the Year in NAIA 2 years ago. So they are well coached, and they also, Coach is talking about shooting the ball. Here's a little interesting stat for you for those that are going to come to the game Wednesday or listen to the game, hopefully, Wednesday night. There's not a regular in their lineup, not a regular player, that guy that gets regular minutes, that shoots less than 50% from the floor. What an amazing statistic is. Everyone that plays in the regular rotation shoots 50% or better in field goal percentage. Just something to look for when the Boilermakers take on the Lancers Wednesday night. One more segment to go here on the Matt Painter Show, brought to you by GEMCO. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Illinois recovered well. There's a double again. Newman down the lane line for Mason Gillis on the opening tip.
Drop coverage, shooting those little 15-footers.
He was just phenomenal. There's the high-low, and Edey spins it in, and the foul.
Flows are one of the first things you got to talk about. Got to be better ball pressure from Matthew Meyer, and that's too easy as Hawkins is buried. That is going to be 2 points and a foul for the entire game if that's the case.
Boston, Oklahoma State, Illinois.
Yes. Both these coaches know exactly what they're looking for in players when they're recruiting.
2 for Smith. I don't want to let that go by, though. That's such a great point.
For Illinois defensively, although Coffin-Wren can do this a little bit.
Trey Coffin-Wren, his 5th 3 of the year. 5 to shoot for Harris. No dribble. 3 to shoot. Danger's got to turn the corner. He did. Swatted it as a boomerang back at him.
And one of the things with young players is they lack shot clock awareness at times. And there, Harris needed to go make something happen.
Throw to Newman. Smith.
In this first half, you see Braden Smith free himself up to knock down one that gets Mackey on his feet.
While you're looking for it, there it is. Edey too short. Mason Gillis tried it away. Smith hits the post. Edey against Danger for two. But how good was that sequence? Hawkins another shot fake, getting Edey out of the way. Morton the interception. Ethan Morton to the rack, and he scooped it in. Kind of been the story of the game for Purdue. Unexpected turnover. Illinois recovered well. There's a double again. Newman down the lane line.
Final segment of the Matt Painter Show brought to you by GEMCO. Again, thank you to each and every one of you that joined us tonight for the first show of the season. Next show comes your way next week on Tuesday night. Tuesday night, we're going to move the show one night because the season opener is Monday night at Mackey Arena. So Tuesday night for the next show, the Matt Painter Show, 6:05 right here at Walk-On's next Tuesday evening. Time for a nugget. Who's ready for a nugget? I knew this table right in front of me would be. This one has nothing to do with Purdue basketball, but I found it so interesting when I was researching Grace College earlier today. I thought I had to pass it along. I mentioned that Scott Moore is an outstanding coach for them. Their fifth-year head coach. He actually played at Grace. Went on to play professionally after he was done playing at Grace College. But anyway, this is in his fifth year now. He's in his fifth year as the head coach at Grace College. For a number of years, he was the assistant for men's basketball. However, that was not his only job at Grace College. For a number of years, as serving as assistant basketball coach, he was also the head women's tennis coach. Head women's tennis coach. Now, think about that. We're pretty impressed with our guy, Matt Painter. But could you imagine if the athletic director would have told Matt, look, we're going to hire you to be our head coach, but we need you to, in the springtime, coach women's tennis. If you wouldn't mind doing that for us, please. I don't know how that would have gone. I don't know if Coach Painter knows anything about tennis, but I found that very interesting, that not only is he coaching a men's basketball team at one point in his career, he was also coaching the women's tennis team, too. So good on Scott Moore. Hopefully he doesn't coach him up too well against us Wednesday night when one of the very best teams in all of the NAIA comes to visit Mackey Arena. Speaking of Wednesday night, our broadcast begins at 6 o'clock. Tip-off is at 7 for Purdue and Grace College. We hope you can join us then. Also, don't forget, Ryan Walters' show moves to Thursday this week. We'll talk Purdue football with Coach Walters on Thursday night, right back here at Walk-Ons at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. Want to give a big thanks out to Silas Cole, who was our in-studio engineer tonight. Thank you to Wes Scott, audio engineer on site. For Coach Painter, I'm Rob Blackman. We will speak again on Wednesday for Purdue and Grace College from Mackey Arena. Until then, have a great night, everyone.